Alright, so today is day 16 of hashtag Vita. I haven't quite figured out how I want to do this. You know, sitting in the chair. I like having a spinny chair, but at the same time, sometimes I want to stand up, but that is not very conducive to doing a stand-up vlog. I really need to get something better. I have a tripod. After coming up vlogs, I might be doing stand-up vlogs. Hello and welcome to me casa. Okay, but we won't do that yet. Okay, so like I said, today is day 16 of hashtag Vita, and I am ready to talk about something new and cool. Okay, so y'all already know, well, you might not know, so I'll just restate it. Anyway, I'm a jet engine mechanic in the Air Force. Okay, cool. Now that we got that out of the way. So, lately it's been a really exciting time for me. I've gotten to do a lot of things that I've never done before, so like, I got to go to test cell, or I got to go to the flight line for the first time about a week ago. Last week I got to go. And today I got to go to test cell, which flight line is basically where they do all the stuff for, well, it's the flight line. It speaks for itself, but that's where they do a lot of the on aircraft based maintenance and stuff like that. So I don't know how to explain it, but it's really cool if you're used to being in the back shop. Getting to go to the flight line and see what they do and what we does to support them is really interesting. And going to test cell like I did today is really interesting because then you get to see an engine in operation. You get to kind of see the work that you do, what that culminates into, a fully functioning engine. And today I got to watch a TF-34 engine get run in a hush house. Now, it wasn't the most exciting engine because TF-34s, no offense, well, they're not really that exciting, you know. Compared to like the F-100, they don't output as much power, so they're not as loud. They don't rumble as much. They're not as aggressive and mean looking, but they do power. They are the propulsion for some really awesome aircraft. For those of you who don't know, the A-10 Warthog is powered by TF-34 engines. Phenomenal. Great engines, don't get me wrong. A pain to work on for the people who work on them. I've seen those, and I would not want to be one of the ones working on that engine. But it was really cool to get to see like how a TF-34 engine mounts into like a cradle and how they get to operate it, and it's phenomenally quiet outside of a hush house, and it's actually incredible. Like, the sound near the hush house is really quiet, but you know, if you go like a ways away, it's really loud. But I don't know, it's really cool, especially if you've never gotten to do it before or gotten to see an engine in operation. Like, getting to know like what kind of things they do to like test and stuff. I don't know, it's really interesting to see like functional ops checks and all that stuff. I really wish like one day that I could actually work test cell. That would be so cool. Especially if it was on the engine I work on, which is an even cooler, like turbofan engine. So today was actually really exciting for me since I've never gotten to do that before. So first time on the flight line last week, first time at test cell this week. Man, I'm just getting to have all the fun lately. So that was basically all that happened today, so I won't dwell on that. I got to go to test cell, I got to see an engine run, and it was really cool. I don't know, I don't like going into too much detail because it's really not like, unless you've worked on an engine in the maintenance field, you wouldn't really, it wouldn't make much sense, you know. It turns on, you make sure everything's good, and then you're done. They go through different like checks and stuff, but none of that really matters to somebody who's never worked on the engine. So it's really cool to get to see an engine in operation when you know what it takes and how much work it takes to build up an engine and get it to functioning capability, and then getting to actually see it. It's really cool, it really is. So that aside, that's about all I have for vlog today. So going on to a topic which has become kind of what I do, a vlog and then a discussion. One-sided discussion. Yeah, and you thought this was going to be a two-way conversation. No, you get to listen to me. because I like to talk, and well, I guess you may or may not like to listen, but you're gonna listen. Okay, maybe you won't. I don't know. That's up to you. You don't have to listen. But if you do, well, then I'll just keep talking. So, the discussion today was going to be forgiving and forgetting and letting go, because somebody was talking to me about it on live stream, and a lot of people seem to have a hard time letting go of things. Like, you know, when someone wrongs you, you seem to hold on to those feelings and you just don't let it go. Like, I don't know, say that you and your best friend got into an argument and you both want to hold a grudge. Neither one of you wants to let go. But is it really worth it? Is it really worth holding on to a grudge when you and somebody get into an argument or have a disagreement? People are allowed to disagree with you. Don't let that bother you. Sometimes people just don't agree with you. Don't let it bother you on a deeper level. I've been friends with people who honestly have so many differing opinions from mine that you would think I would be like, oh my gosh, I don't think we can be friends. But that's not how I treat it. I don't let my personal opinions conflicting with their personal opinions affect our friendship, because that's not how it should work. You shouldn't say, oh, well, you know, we're really good friends, but I just can't be friends with you because of that one thing that you don't agree with me on. That's just not how it works. And if you're really friends with somebody, it shouldn't matter. But that's a little bit of a different discussion for a different day. That would make this video end up being 20 minutes. In this video, I'm actually trying to make about 10 to 12 minutes at the most. So I'm going to try to make this a little bit faster than normal. So yeah, and then I'm going to sleep because I want to sleep. I'm tired. So, forgiving someone. It's really, really easy to forgive someone. But it starts with not holding a grudge. When somebody wrongs you, you don't have to forget it. Forgiving and forgetting doesn't mean you have to entirely forget it. Well, by what most people's logic is, you do have to forget it. I don't believe in forgiving and forgetting. I believe in forgiving and letting go, but never forgetting. I never forget when somebody has wronged me. I always remember it. Because you can't always trust that person entirely again after they've wronged you. It's really, really difficult to not have that in the back of your head. Trust is very difficult to regain, especially for me. So, forgiving someone is really easy. You just don't hold it over their head. You don't hold animosity towards them. You don't get angry when you see them. You don't lash out at them. You don't talk behind their back. You don't say rude things to them. You don't lash out like a child when somebody has wronged you. Instead, act like an adult, like you probably should be or are or will be soon, and think about it from a little bit different of a perspective. Think about why they did it, whether that makes them mature or immature, and if they're immature, then just don't deal with them. Walk away from them. You don't need to be friends with somebody who's going to lash out like a child. And if they are a worthwhile friend, then explain that to them. Tell them that's not right. You shouldn't be lashing out like that. You really shouldn't. Because some people do that, and sometimes they just need to be told, hey, look, you're being really unreasonable right now. And they'll get over it. And then you will be able to move on as friends. And you'll be so much better off as friends. And I know I'm rambling a little bit, so I'll get to the point. Forgetting. Never forget when somebody wrongs you. Just don't. Because that creates a cycle where you continuously let it happen and let it happen and let it happen, and you just don't do anything to stop it. And then that becomes a toxic relationship, a toxic friendship, whatever you want to call it. To me, relationship doesn't mean dating necessarily. That's a type of relationship, but relationship purely means a connection between two people. In my mind, it's whether it be your sister, that's a relationship of brother and sisterhood. Dating someone, that's a relationship of like a dating relationship. And then you have like different types of relationships, like you have relationships with strangers. Like it's just a connection you have with somebody, and to what degree you have a connection to them. So don't forget it, because if you do forget, like I said, you let it happen, and it keeps going. You have to be able to say, look, I forgive you, and we can move past this, but just in the back of your mind, just keep that in mind. just so that you don't let yourself slip into that chaotic, continuous loop. But yeah, there's really not much to say on the topic other than forgive, don't forget, but let it go, which is really easy to do. It's really easy to let something go without forgetting it and while forgiving someone, because everybody deserves forgiveness and everybody deserves a second chance. But that doesn't mean they deserve an entirely clean slate. Nobody gets a clean slate. Once you have done something, you don't just get a do-over. Life doesn't have a do-over button, and don't expect that somebody's going to give you a do-over button. I have never once given somebody a do-over button. I just always give them a chance. Like, I'll keep giving them chances, but every time that something happens, they get less, they just become less close to me. Like, I keep them further away and further away and further away. And that's just how it works. That's how human nature is. If somebody wrongs you, you never truly trust them again. You just don't. So keep that in mind. Forgive, don't forget, but let go and move on. It's really easy to do that, and you will be a much happier person once you realize that you can forgive and let go without forgetting and without holding a grudge. And that's something that I've noticed that a lot of people have a lot of trouble with. But that's actually one of those things where when people say, how do you stay so positive all the time? That's one of those things that I personally keep in mind, and that helps me to stay positive. Not having anger on my heart or animosity towards someone on my mind. I don't think about those kinds of things, and I don't dwell on them. They really aren't worth the time, and life is too short, and you have so much else to live for. Why live for anger when you can live for happiness? I mean, honestly, there's not really much of a choice. It's pretty straightforward to me. But so, I'm not going to keep y'all, but I do have a couple of ideas for tomorrow, and I hope y'all will enjoy them, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, let me know. And if you have any ideas for anything that you'd like to see in a video, just let me know. Honestly, I'm always open to critique and suggestions and anything you want to say. Positive, negative, I really don't care. I mean, I'm open to all of it, so I'd love to hear from y'all. Bye!